We like to talk about foreign drama every now and then, and it's been a bit light on the ground. BBC Four really haven't had anything on this year. They've been sort of showing
to the
young.
Spanish one.
Yeah, they're showing young Montalbanos at the moment. I don't know if they're repeats or not.
How old is young Montalbano? I can't think he's that young.
We decided to go online and have a look at one of the Walter Presents ones. You'll remember that the very first one was Deutschland 83.
If I had to search that out online, I probably wouldn't have watched it all, because I find the model a bit... I can't concentrate on foreign dramas at my computer when I can also check I keep forgetting that I have to read it, and I check my emails and I think, oh, I don't know what they're saying. I'll go back and listen to it. I mean, you don't obviously struggle with that because you watch a lot on your computer
no,
screen.
not really. Because this is the first Walter Presents that I remember where Walter does an introduction to it. To an extent, it is a bit plot spoilery, really.
It's very plot spoilery. There's pictures of it and everything.
He goes through a lot of stuff that doesn't even happen in episode 1. Like, he joins the dots between characters, and I think he's trying to tell you who some of the characters are before you get into it. But it's like, you want to discover that for yourself, don't you? The plot, as Walter explained it to us, was that...
we didn't need to watch it, as it turns out. I wasted 45 minutes.
Is found dead. Lara
found hanged.
The investigation is carried out by Gabriella. It was a bit distracting because she did look a lot like Scottish comedian Susan Calman.
Yes! Thank you. And that's the end of the That's the only reason I wanted to discuss this.
I think if we were watching this in English, we get the vibe that she is a bit like Nicola Walker in Unforgotten. We should say as well, this is Icelandic. I don't know if we mentioned that at the top.
We didn't. We were too busy talking about blooming Walter.
She's not like a Sarah Lund or a Saga Norrin who've got their sort of deep sort of issues. She is first and foremost a detective. She's got a partner. They have like a quite a friendly relationship, I suppose, as well, don't they? Like, they go for a drink. Actually, that was one of my favourite scenes where they went for a drink together, and it was like, are you a lesbian? My family go on marches, and she just doesn't answer.
Can I interrupt you before you get into this? I've just done some research on the old Wikipedia. It would appear that what we've watched is the first episode of the third series of Case.
Wow.
The first two, I know. The first two series were a different case, and they were only involved the lawyer character.
Okay.
Susan Calman wasn't in the first two series.
So because we've got two. Look, we've got is this the investigator who spends most of the time sleeping?
Apparently, it says Ritter is about an attorney who joins a law firm owned by business partners. Together, they solve cases which bring them all too close to the cases and subject of.
This is maybe why he had to explain it, because we're starting at season.
Yeah, we're starting from 3.
The case in question, as I said before, there's a ballet dancer. She's 15, 16? The character that Luke was talking about, what was his name? The lawyer?
Logie?
We don't really know he's a lawyer. He sort of comes across as more of a private investigator, sort of There's a lot of naked computer hacking going on.
I genuinely didn't understand. I genuinely didn't understand it all.
He was being employed by a lawyer. He and his multicolour-haired girlfriend were sort of they were sort of like working outside the law to sort of help this other lawyer who looked like he was sort of like a pro bono lawyer, you know, not like in a fancy law firm. He was helping like people who didn't have a lot of money with their cases. He also, you get the impression he worked with or was married to, had a relationship with the other lawyer who was involved in this, and her name is...
let's call her Christine. I don't know what her name. I genuinely don't know any of the names.
Anyway, she.
I know her. I know the girl's best friend was called Elva Dog, which I thought was brilliant. And I also know that the guy who threatened the girl in the supermarket, I know his name was Thor.
So this other lawyer who they've got links together, she organised the adoption of Lara to this sort of well-to-do couple from her birth parents who had, as we learnt, problems with alcohol and drugs, and they feel like that the child services screwed them over and they weren't allowed the visitations that they were promised, and so they're now going to this lawyer who's using the other lawyer who's now an investigator.
See, I'm more confused now than I was. I was quite confused watching it.
He uses the investigator to basically try and prove that there was sort of abuse going on.
I thought, and
Yeah.
God knows if anyone still listens to the podcast at this point, one of my favourite things ordinarily about these foreign dramas, and I think we're learning to do it. You saw it within things we love like The Missing recently, but one of my favourite things is how you're never really sure who's connected and they all... But on this, I just found it too much. I was genuinely confused. I didn't know what was going on, and even you explaining it, I don't.
The biggest
the bits I thought I understood, I didn't.
Link you can draw to the as you say the naked investigator hacker man, I suppose, is he's a bit like Jason Isaacs in Case Histories. That's the nearest.
Well, that's where they got their title from, presumably.
The scene you were alluding to in the supermarket, the guy Thor. You don't see this every day in Lidl. He basically.
I'm not in Lidl every day though. To
grabbed
be fair.
The girl who we found out at the end of the episode was Lara's biological sister. He grabbed her in a not a very nice area, and I'm not talking
in the veg area.
The veg area.
To be honest, I couldn't tell what was going on. I just knew she was in a lot of pain.
But
I found him incredibly creepy, and then incredibly
I got him
Weasley.
confused with the other the lawyer who's like the lawyer who was working with her parents.
Were you invested in this at all? Because I really.
I liked Gabriella. I thought she was a good sort of lead investigator. So again, like we've said about Nicola Walker in Unforgotten, someone who hasn't got, as far as we know, hasn't got any skeletons in the closet. And obviously, because you've mentioned now that this is the first series that she's in, there's obviously an introduction to her character. And as I said, that scene in the pub, I think, was the best thing about it for me. I loved that, like, awkward, are you a lesbian? You know, we've done the pride marches, it's all right if you are sort of thing. Apart from that scene in the supermarket, nothing that sort of grabbed people.
I'd say I've used this expression before, and some shows I watch and I am immersed in, and some shows I feel like I'm watching literally behind a screen.
Yeah.
That's what this was. I think
though,
for me to
maybe
enjoy the crime drama, I either have to be intrigued enough by the mystery, or like the people investigating it, or like the people that it's affecting. And I didn't really get any of that. None of it felt genuine, I suppose, apart from the scene that you alluded to in the pub, which was possibly the most relaxed, down-to-earth scene.